Welcome to this introduction to the speaking exam. First, I will give you some general exam information. The exam lasts 35 minutes, in which you need to make 24 exercises. The exam has two parts. In part 1, you need to respond to 12 questions by speaking, and in part 2, you will see videos, and each time the video will stop, and when the video stops, you need to choose the best reaction from the multiple choice options. Then the grading. So how will you be graded? You will be graded mainly on two things. Firstly, on the content, so that is what you say, and secondly, on your language, so how you say it. And finally, the exam is in level A2. Let's talk a bit more about part 1 of the exam. As I said, the level is A2, and that means that when you speak, you should be capable of simple and direct exchange of information on familiar and routine matters. Some examples of these familiar and routine matters are giving your opinion about something, so saying things that you like or things that you don't like, or telling about things that you do regularly, things that you do daily or weekly. So knowing that you need to talk about these kind of things on the exam, you can use this to practice. For example, if you're walking to the supermarket, just ask yourself, what is my opinion of this supermarket and how do I say that in Dutch? Or if you're going to the supermarket to buy vegetables, think to yourself, which vegetables do I like? And how do I say in Dutch that I like these vegetables? And which vegetables do I not like? And how do I say in Dutch that I don't like these vegetables? So this way you can practice during the day, even when you're not at home. In the exam, you will get 12 questions, as I said, and these questions are usually twofold. And by twofold, I mean that they're asking you to give two answers. Let me show you some examples. Wat vindt u van het weer in Nederland? Vertel ook hoe het weer is in uw eigen land. Meaning, what do you think of the weather in the Netherlands? Also tell how the weather is in your own country. My answer could be, ik vind het weer in Nederland niet goed. In mijn eigen land is het altijd warm. Meaning, I think the weather in the Netherlands is not good. In my own country, it is always warm. Or, wat vindt u leuke muziek? Vertel ook wat u geen leuke muziek vindt. Meaning, what do you like? Which music do you like? Also tell which music you don't like. My answer could be, ik vind rockmuziek leuk. Ik vind klassieke muziek niet leuk. Meaning, I like rock music. I don't like classical music. Another question could be, wat doet u graag in het weekend? Vertel ook waarom u dat leuk vindt. Meaning, what do you like to do in the weekend? Also tell why you like that. My answer could be, ik tennis graag in het weekend, want ik tennis met mijn vrienden. Meaning, I like to play tennis in the weekend because I play tennis with my friends. Now, let's have a look at the process in the exam. So, what do you need to do exactly? Well, first, you just listen to the question. And once you've listened to the question, thought about your answer, you know how you're going to formulate it, then you press start and you start speaking. Then, when you finish speaking, you press the red stop button. After you've pressed stop, then the green starting button will change and it will become these two arrows and say opnieuw starten below, it means start again. So you could do that if you're not happy with your answer. To listen to your answer, you can press play after you've recorded yourself and you can listen how you answered it. And if you're happy with that, you just click on volgende, which will be right below in the right below of the screen, and volgende means next. Yeah, if you're not happy with it, then you can just click on opnieuw starten and you can try it again. So re-listening, re-recording, and going back to a previous question are all possible. However, I need to warn you, don't do this too often. Pay attention to the clock, because if you re-record yourself too many times, you'll get in trouble with the clock, and you might not have enough time, which could cause stress. So pay attention to the clock. Now let's have a closer look at how you will be graded on the exam. As I mentioned before, you'll be graded mainly on two aspects. First of all, the content, so that is what you say, and second of all, the language, that is how you say it. Let's have a look at the content first. For the content, you will be graded on execution of exercise and clearness and understandability. So the execution of the exercise is that you understand what they're asking and that you give an applicable answer. To make this more clear, I will give an example of the wrong execution of an exercise. So let's say that the question is, what do you like to do in the weekend and why do you like to do this in the weekend? And I answer, yes, I like the weekend. I am in Amsterdam in the weekend. Then clearly, I had no idea what they were asking. I didn't understand the question. So you will score, then I would have scored 0 points on the execution of the exercise. And this is really important, because if you score 0 points on the execution of the exercise, you also score 0 on the rest of the aspects. So it's very important that you listen carefully so you understand what they're asking. The second aspect that you will be graded on for content is the clearness and understandability. And this is mainly about the structure of your answer. For language, you will be graded on grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and pronunciation. Now let's talk some more about part 2 of the exam. So that is question number 13 until question number 24. In part 2 of the exam, each different question has its own video. In this video, there will be a conversation between two people. And at a certain moment in the conversation, the video will stop. And you will need to choose the best reaction from the multiple choice options. So, in fact, you're not speaking yourself in this part, you're just choosing the correct reaction. So, in fact, this is also a test of your listening skills. And that is why in preparation of the speaking exam, especially for speaking exam part 2, it is a good idea to also practice your listening. So listen to Dutch radio sometimes, watch Dutch TV. You can even do some listening exams of the inburgering. That could be a good preparation, because it can be useful, especially for part 2 of the speaking exam, where you also need to be able to follow the conversation so that you can choose the correct reaction. Now, which types of questions are there on part 2? There are in fact 3 types of questions, and the first type, which is by far the biggest group, is where only one of the multiple choice answers makes sense, and the other ones are just not logical. Then the second group, which is a lot smaller, is where only one of the answers is appropriate or polite, and the other options are either too rude or too direct. And then finally there is another small group, which is the type of question where only one of the answers is grammatically correct and the other options are grammatically incorrect. The last topic I want to discuss here are the question words. Question words are essential for both part 1 and part 2 of the exam, because you need to know what the question words mean in order to understand what they're asking. So really make sure that you know the question words well. Some examples of common question words are wie, hoe, wat, welke, waar, wanneer, and waarom. So these are common question words, but there are also some more uncommon question words that you also need to know for the exam. In this course, there are lessons about question words, so here you can find more detailed information about the question words. So that concludes this lesson. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next lesson.